it's 22, 21. And the story starts off treasury. It says that do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust corrupt and thieves break through and steal, which makes sense to us. It's a problem for our problem number 3, right? Sub problem. We got our issue with Corbin and Shell, or the Corbin and knowing we got a whole other soul there. But it makes sense to us in our minds that we've got issues with stuff and we shouldn't lay out for ourselves treasures on earth where moths, rust, and corrupt and where the thief and breaks would steal. That part of the story makes some sense to us in election. But of course, Yeshua never stops there. He just has a teach and he uses to get us into the deeper. So he says, not only you should not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. And treasures, the Hebrew word means treasure. Treasure, place where you store your treasure. It's not just the treasure itself, it's the place you store it. It's the goal of all that. It's like if you had an Ark of the Covenant in your own house or your own life. You had an Ark of the Covenant. Why I said the Ark of the Covenant, because that's where the most precious thing on earth was put, right? The tablets of the Holy One's own hand were put in the Ark of the Covenant. That's the most precious thing on earth. If you had an Ark in your own house, what would be in it? What would you speak in? What's the most valuable thing to you? So he says, now it's probably not a good idea to have your focus on what you put in your ark. If you had one, your ark of your treasury, you probably shouldn't put in there money or stuff like that. You're going to find that moth can get it and rust can take care of it, thieves can break through and steal it. So maybe there's something else you can. He says, but that's not enough. Just by itself, not that, but not the negative. There's a positive instruction as well. So Simon further says, well, do lay up for yourself a treasure in heaven. Heaven, says James. In the heavenly, in the Bahashamayim realm, lay up for yourself a treasure. Place of valuable things, the things that are really valuable. Lay up that for something. Because moths can't get to it, and rust can't get to it, and damage it, and things can't get through and steal because it's not there, it's in that realm. And you say, but I understand what it means not to put up things of the earth as treasures that are not treasured, but I don't know what he's talking about. When he says, lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, treasury of heaven. What exactly is supposed to be in there? What is really valuable in the heavens? I mean, we all want to go there. We all want to live there. We don't want to have eternity there. Maybe if that's what really happens, if that's the way it works. But what is really there that we want to make our treasure?
Well, what just came to my mind is Jenny.
It's what?
Jenny.
Jenny. Okay. So that's there.
Yes, she is a American. She still is, but she's not here with us.
Right.
But she, in the room that she occupied, everything is gone now. It's just gone. And sometimes I just, I really miss her, and I miss the presence of her smile. And I just seemed to permeate when she was pleased with her. Just kind of permeate the atmosphere. All her possessions are but her deeds are in that place. Because she was so busy. She was always doing good things. She was doing and making gingerbread for the little lady that she used to sit with. She would take dinner to the gentleman that she sat with. Or she was doing prison ministry for all those guys and all those good deeds.
All right, so we see that we got treasuries in heaven, and in the physical sense that we have like gym beat, our gym beat. And many of them have brothers, Andy Edwards and things like that as well. And these dear friends and mentors and things like that. So we got that level of the people and the deeds that are in heavens. What else are we thinking? What else is there? Not, and of course you could say crown of righteousness, the crown of glory, all the crowns all talk about. Souls, so there's that soul there. That's another issue, okay, but that issue. So these are, what exactly are your treasures in heaven? But it's a positive discussion.
Well, I think it would be, of course, doing mitzvah, doing good deeds, giving to the poor, that kind of thing. But it couldn't it also be like balancing the scales in your own life, sowing into your kids and your grandkids, and giving them the basis of, living a successful life and producing godly heirs.
Training up children in the way they should go, being an example to them all different things. And these now, that, yes, that's all part of it. I like to try to think about it in terms of knowing this is a positive instruction. Most of us never think about it. We read the words, we pass it right by, and we never give it consideration of what really are our treasures. What do we value most about what's in the heavens? As we think about things like, our loved ones that pass on, think about things that mitzvahs that have been done in secret, like you've been talking about. Don't do it publicly, don't do it for public acclaim. The things that nobody knows about, things that we did in secret and did in the secret place, prayers we prayed. I don't think we've invested heavily to think about all that. But I'm going to go a little deeper than that and talk about who's in the heavens. I mean, the most important one, treasure in heaven, is in himself, right? And do we consider the things like that? Because if we don't, we're going to have other treasures. If he's not the primary treasure. And I'll make this, you understand what I'm saying? He said to Abraham, I am your shield and your exceedingly great reward. I'm not just here to protect you, to defend you, though I do that. I come to do that. I myself am the fullness of what you need. I'm your seed. I am your treasure. What is it? Then how do we change the way we think or the way we act, the way we talk? If he is really number one, chief number one treasure in heaven, how does it change what we focus our attention on or give our time and effort to and have conversations about with our fellow men? How does it change the way we order and structure our lives, or the way we spend our first minutes of the morning, our last minutes of the evening? How does it change? If he is our treasure, and sometimes when I have these conversations with you, I want to look deep into your eyes. Not just my business, but I sense that somebody needs that he needs to look in your eyes in particular. Do you really understand what it means to be the treasure? The chief treasure. Do you have a clue what it would look like and how it would change everything about it? That's so that we can talk about it to the council, we can be romantic about it, or ideological about it, or moral and superior about it. But the issue is really how to change us. I think is our primary value, our primary priority in life.
He has all the glory, and there's only one way that we can add, and it's not really adding, it's only reflecting what already belongs to him by the story of our life, by letting him reinterpret the things that are happening to his glory, and that we develop that heart of pure worship where it's all going back to where it's supposed to be, and that's drawing us closer. So it's It is treasure. It's like connected. It's our only purpose in life is to reflect His glory and for our lives to show forth Him.
All right, so begin to feel something happening inside of us, saying, if you're really my treasure, and it's not just a football religion I'm talking about here, you're really my treasure, everything about me is going to change, start changing. The way I talk and think, everything's going to change. Now, let's go, if we can somehow quantify that, I want to quantify that. It's an aspiration, it's a desire on all of our parts to find out what it would be to have Him really be the most important thing in our life. The one in our box, in our heart. Go. But let's move on because we don't know how to quantify that. What about our place with Him in the heavens? Paul said we're receiving heavens in desires to it. I've been to football games, concerts. I bought a ticket, right? And I had the right to sit in the chair because I bought the ticket. And I had nobody else could sit in that chair unless they were bigger than me, stronger than me. Because I had the legal right to sit in that chair and listen to the music or watch that football game or baseball game. I had the legal right to do that, and that was a blessing. Normally, you wouldn't get a chance to do that. Most people in the world don't have that right. So I had the right to sit in that chair. That's nothing. We have a seat prepared for us. Our name or person.
Yeah.
In the heavenly realms. And we belong there. We should know how to go there and sit there and absorb the things, the energy of what's going on in the heavens. That's why I'm so glad to see what they did. They had an encounter with God, I say it. And it's the year between you and I. So I looked at my seat, I looked at my purchased seat in the heavens. And I saw the Holy One high and up, and his train filled the temple, and the pillars shook. And he's describing to us what it's like to sit in that seat. And the heavenly, and Ezekiel does the same thing, and Daniel does the same thing, and there's Daniel 7, the whole place through the river of fire, and ministers in the flame. All this stuff is happening, we're seeing these different things take place. The Ancient of Days sitting on the throne, and all many thrones were set. John Revelation does the same thing. You see these beautiful pictures, and most of the time we never think about we got to see in heaven, in the heavenly realms now. I mean, not just when we die, hopefully we'll have some place like that. I said my question about how it's going to work its way out. But right now, we have access to our seat in the heavenly places for a reason, so that we can meditate, contemplate, go there, and see what is happening in the heavens. What are they talking about? What are the 24 elders conversing? Other than they throw the crowns down and say, blessed is you, who comes down the cross. Blessed, blessing and glory and honor, power, and joy, and forever. And what is he talking about? And what are the four living creatures doing besides singing holy oath? What else are they doing up there? What is heaven's perspective? Because think about it, a seat and a high place is you get to see things from a better perspective. Better perspective than the news. Better perspective than the preaching. Better perspective than 4,000 years of doctrine. Better perspective than any of that stuff. We have the seat in the heaven. Is that right? That 14? And this, when I started studying, seeking God's counsel on prayer, it just changed my life. And you probably know that, you've been around me a long enough to hear me talk about prayer, the way in which I pray. It's not my language. I never pray the way the church prays. I mean, I won't sound an expert in it, but I follow it. Yeah, I can do all that intercession stuff. I can do all. I can prevail. I can do the invocation, benediction, doxologies, and I could do all that stuff, and it sounded really good, made me feel really good in the morning, pat myself on the back. But in all that, I never sat in the seat. I wasn't sitting in the seat. Because when you sit in the seat, everything, when you sit in the heavenly places, everything gets changed, and your whole focus on what you get. The words just doesn't sound so eloquent anymore. They don't sound so convincing and so erudite and so spiritual anymore. You say, can I shut my mouth? He's pleasing the angel with the coal to put on these unclean lips. Please do that. I'm battling and I'm going to quit. Tell me what to do, and I don't want to do that. Now, you see how this whole thing changes. If you're seated in the heavens, now, whenever I go to this thing called the figure out of prayer, it's like I'm not talking, they used to talk to me. We're just out of talk. No one's going to put this on main social media. Anybody get so used to praying, you just talk to the air? You didn't think about who you were talking to. It's just a habit. It's just a protocol. And so you just talk, and at some point, maybe you realize, I'm just talking in the air. This is not really prayer. I'm just saying things I'm speaking out loud. And if you pray a lot, so I try to do a lot, you can't yourself. It's like a student who's doing praise worship. There's a secret nobody tells you if you're praise worship. Sometimes it's just singing. It's harmonizing, it's getting the rhythm right, it's doing time before time. Sometimes it's really not worship at all. It's just, you want it to be, or you wish it was worship. You want like to think it's worship, it's really just singing songs. Do a dance, wave the flag for banners, or whatever you like to do. Bow, you like time, everybody else says bow. Get up when the rest says get up. Whatever you think it is, and you realize, I'm just going through the motions here. I don't want to be just going through the motions. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to go through the motions. But I lose sight of where I am until you get to the seat. And when you sit in the seat in the heavens, suddenly you're stunned by his beauty and his majesty like the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders. And all you can do is babble. This kind of babble. Kados, holy, holy, holy. And you realize now suddenly you connected with the rhythms of heaven, through song and frequency of heaven. And now we're really doing it to feel, really doing prayer. And now something's happening, and you didn't understand, you didn't make that happen in your head. I was going to say prayer's happening in your head. So feel like happiness through that connection between God and man. Anyway. So you get this issue of blowing up. The treasure, where's your treasure? What's your treasure? That's seed in the heavens. Do you want to go there? I believe that if we all learn to go there in our prayers and meditation, really seriously think about it, focus on going and sitting in the seat in the heavenly place, that we change our things. We would change our conversations. We would change the atmosphere in every room we went into. But if we keep doing what we're doing, we're not going to change it. It's been done. It's been done for centuries. It's been done for millennia. It hasn't changed yet. Okay, see the challenge of learning where our treasure, what is our treasure in? Now, what about the issue of the energy of his words? I notice things which I record, I recorded a lot, and how far I am away from the microphone determines how I sound. Certain things like tone of voice, the speed at which I speak, the tone and the rhythm at which I speak, how I use a lot of things. There's a lot of things affected. But the one of the most important things is how close my mouth is to the microphone. I hope you're getting the picture of where I'm going. The closer we are to God when He speaks, the better we understand in communicating what he's actually saying. So the beauty of that seat in the heavenlies is we're closer to the light. And the energy is coming off of it in such a way that it's not written on a page in the book. Now, I have the pages in the book and the writing on the pages. And some days, all I got is a page and writing on the book. And it's a blessing, and I'll take every bit of it. However, I get my choice between that and being next to the microphone and the one speaking to the microphone. Guess which one I want that? Now, you know, in Deuteronomy, Moshe said, we are, the nations see us, are supposed to see us, the nation. And they say, how interesting these people are. John 4 said, how close they are to God when he hears them when they speak and responds to them when they speak. And have these beautiful words, these beautiful laws, it says in the King James Version. These beautiful laws that come from their God. How interesting these people are. Now, it's one thing to have them in chiseled in stone, it's another thing to have them written on pages. It's another thing altogether to have that energy pulsing out of his voice into your heart. And radiating and resonating all the way like echo coming through a canyon. The energy having as much impact as the words themselves. I think you know what I mean by that. Remember, Saturday morning. And look something like you right next to it, it doesn't matter if I turn the sound off or not. So what I'm saying is this. Let's just use my wife, my family, my relationship with her. If I'm in the hall and I hear her say, how did you come here now? It's like, well, I need to do what I'm doing first. I'll be there in a few minutes. I know none of the other husbands are like that. But it's like, I will, I hear you, I hear you. And I mean, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get it, but it's not, you know what I'm doing. I'm doing something very important. I'm putting my socks in there. I don't know, I'm doing something. It's important at the moment. But if she walks up to me, the energy of that voice being right next to my ear has a whole different impact. Hello? You hear what I'm saying? And to have that privilege of being in his presence, where his words don't just mean words on a page, they mean energy coming from his very being that communicate his goodness, his majesty, his power, his worth, all that stuff. You see what these treasures are now.
Paul even carries it a step further when he describes he didn't know if it was in a vision or if he was there for real, but he was called into the third heaven. And then he said it's also paradise. He puts it, I heard unspeakable words which it is not lawful for a man to utter. So, I mean, imagine hearing those words and when you're brought back down to heaven, it's not even lawful for you. It's so far above what we have here that it's not even lawful. You know, to speak them and can't even speak them. The energy behind that.
You know, another little example of my husband-wife relationship, you know, when my wife and I first got married, whatever, I'm going on a trip, I did a lot of traveling with sister. And so I would get to the hotel, she sits on back there, I'm close, something scary. I always did this myself. So have someone else back your clothes for you for a 3-day time and program or whatever, you sort of want to know what to do, but I trust her. But every time she packed my bags, she would put a note in it. And it would be a note, say a certain thing that says, I love you. That's powerful, right? That's a powerful thing. And I wrote that as soon as we get done, and I put it looking for my clothes, so I looked at the note. As wonderful as all that was, that was it. When she came up to me in the room, looked me out, said, "Go on, what?" It meant something wholly different. I was a whole other interview. So both are good. The second one is hard to be solved. So these are, this is what I mean by, what does it mean that it says, having treasures lay up treasures in the heavens? Now, treasures now, not treasures when you die. It's like, it's talking about Paul talking about the crown of glory, the crown of righteousness, the crown of this and that. What's the crown of glory? I mean, I was a member of Civic Clubs for years. I look back and almost laugh. I was crying. Do you know what a Civic Club takes a young man who is seeking affirmation, wanting to belong to something, wanting to be somebody, do something for it, and they start putting awards. Little pieces of metal or plastic, like Boy Scouts give you a badge. It's like you earn a badge, or you earn a reward, or whatever. It's like in the great scheme of things, you know what it means? It's your idiot.
You got to go.
It means you got nothing but pride, and it's so stupid. But we do it, and everybody wants to hold that. I want the kid that said something right now, done something like, oh my God. So when I read about Paul, about the crown of righteousness, then what the heck is it for? It's not what, you know, Shaul shows up then. There's just a picture of them. Shaul shows up then. And St. Peter, well, we just use an image. But St. Peter shows up, I got a pin for you. He said, "Get out of my face. I want to go to the real reward. I don't care about those stinking pins." I mean, it's facetious here, but you get the picture of when the great the crown that he's talking about. It's not so he can have a crown. So the crown is not the gift. It's not the treasure. It's what you can do with the crown is the treasure. What can you do with that crown? That crown is your level of authority. You have opened the doors to so many thousands, millions, maybe of people. And release authority from the king through your voice, through your words, through your messages, through your actions into the world and into the nations, into kingdoms. That's the purpose. And the crown is all about function, not about some sort of a gold piece of gold or a piece of silver. That's the treasure in heaven. No, he would put you in that authority.
Okay, so I have a question. What's the purpose of the found
Yeah, I think it's the whole idea, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like Deb was talking earlier about this, and it's like when you come to a certain place, I've got this authority, but I only want to use it for what?
What did she say?
What does this mean? They're throwing casting down.
Oh, okay.
Why are they casting down the ground? Why they all 24 hours bigger cast down the ground? We see this imagery, we kind of understand what they're saying. It's like no position or title or award means anything to me. All of that is will be done. So I give you this crown to use it. Put it wherever you want to put it. Let me use it. I want to use it. But I don't want to determine what I do. I want you to have this full right for to do so. And that's what he puts you over cities and communities and countries and nations. That's what the millennial kingdom is all about, right? It's about going to distribute power throughout the world. Mountains ruling, being fierce rulers, so that we can release the wisdom of God over real people and great nations that we see it together.
Day of rejoicing that will be.
What is today? Rejoicing that will be. That
When I read the scriptures, I often think about what it would be like if I could have been walking behind Yeshua when he was on earth. in the dust of the rabbi, learning from him, absorbing from him. And yet I know the disciples themselves were so distracted by the things happening in the world that it took a long time for everything that he was teaching them to sink in and have the revelation of fullness of who he was. But wherever he went, there was peace, there was shalom, there was wholeness, there was healing. That power was in him. And if he had handed me a rock or an acorn, man, I would have kept that in my pocket. Not because there was any value in it, but because it was connection with him. There. Just a thought.
I used to think, and sometimes I still do, but your mom still do, that man to have been able to have been physically on the mountain with him when he gave out to him, or to be in that room when he gave up in discourse, or when he was outside the city of Jerusalem and we all walked about how beautiful the city was, the temple was. He said, not one stone to go on another, and he gave all of that discourse. And then he gave the kingdom of heaven his life. The discourse is about what the kingdom of heaven is like. To have been there and actually heard his voice. How wonderful it would have been. It would have been. Told you wrong. I always thought how superior that was to us. It speaks to real. But here's the deal. Well, I'm a visual learner, but I can also learn a little auditory. But you know what? When you combine the two, you add action to it, and you put it in context, it suddenly takes on a whole other level. We get the privilege of retrospect looking at these things. And now we do need to have that sense that we're present and physically present with him whenever he speaks it, and the energy of speech. We get to not just read it, not just hear it, which they did. It's like, Peter. It doesn't get any better than that, right? He was with him all the time. He was in the inner circle. He was James John. They were in the inner circle with him all the time. And yet, who had the most confusion? Who had the biggest problem? Peter finally loved it. Say, but he had all these advantages. Why didn't he get it? Because he's too close. He didn't have a chance to put it in perspective by seeing it from a distance, as well as being up. So I used to think, I wish I could have been live back in those days. Like, sometimes it's just too nostalgic there, but you probably do too. How did you not want to be in? But and I was just think about it. I said, well, what a privilege it is to be able to live after it. And not only did we be in his presence in our conversations that day, we actually see the perspective of what he's talking about. And understand things Peter never understood. We may not really grasp the fullest of it, but Peter never even got the praise of it. You're not going to die. No, don't talk like that. You're not going to die. Peter. You know what I mean? Why doesn't get fulfilled? Peter, I love you, brother. But you don't have to get, I'll call you what you are right now. You're talking like Satan. You're talking about the adversary. Get away. Get back. Do you understand? So I want to be able to have both the presence and the feeling of the energy of the vibes, what he's saying, and the energy that comes out of his presence, but also have a little perspective on this and give it to the angels. And through works of life experience as well. So treasured in that. Now he says that because, and the center part of this whole sermon on the mount is the next few words. Because where your treasure is, there is your else. He didn't say anything else in the entire sermon on the mount leading up to it, or that this is the message. It's if you want to know whether you're going to be a disciple of mine, you got to get your heart. You got to decide what's important to you in your heart, because what's important to your heart is where you know how to move you act, where you make it. And if you're all into something else besides me and besides this plan that I've got and the instructions I'm giving to you and the treasures that are really yours, then you're going to be given a diluted, polluted form of what you're supposed to be offering the world. But it says, what is in your heart? Where your treasures are, your heart is also. Wow. So where is your heart? Gotcha. You know, this religion stuff, you know, we talk about, so we're talking about, where is your heart? What's important in there? What's ruminating? What's moving? What's shaking? What's really important to you? It's benefits about finding your heart. And he's later going to say in another context, like the abundance of the heart. The mouth speaks. So if you want to know what's in your heart, get a recorder, put it right in your name. Hit all of it. And go around for 24 hours and listen to what you were talking about for the last 24 hours. You say, well, my heart's on you. Why haven't you been talking about it? You know, it's like, this is a scary thought. It's so deep. It takes you so out of the realm of religion into the realm of relationship with them. He says, now, I know you can talk. I know you can recite the verses. I know you can make the judgments. But the real question is, where is your heart? That's what we're going to be. And I learned about relationships a long time ago. You know, just sociological developments and teachings on relationships. You know, people forget what you said. What's the rest of it? But they will never forget the way you made them feel. You can say the nicest things, but if it doesn't come across sincere, it doesn't change the way they perceive you. Then you could have said wonderful stuff all day long, and it wouldn't have made a difference. But if you said the silliest little thing, and they receive from you your heart, then they are bound by it to you for days, weeks, time, life.
Why? I just talked about.
Well put.
I
know you did. So she was saying that my relationship with you, sideways, our relationship with those who follow me and seek to serve me, is going to be based on your heart. And it's going to be very important that you understand it's not in your head. It's not in your intellect. It's not what you believe intellectually in your head. It's about what communicates out of your heart and through your mouth to do so. That's intense stuff. And that's why he said, I could teach you till the cows come home about different doctrines, but until you learn how to communicate your heart and let your heart be my heart, the world is not getting from you what it needs. And the people that face the mountain, he's up on the mountain with disciples, teaching them what people we go back down and deal with multitudes. People at the bottom of the hill, they don't need a much more free for living. They need a heart God. So he says, where your treasure is, your heart will be also. He says things like, the lamp of the body, the eye is the lamp of the body. I wish you said that. Said what you meant. You ever notice this about your ship? That's why we won't listen. They'd rather listen to Paul than listen to Job. He talks on the deep things, deep statements. Statements that take you to the edge and beyond the edge of spirituality. So he says this crazy thing to our mind. He says the eye is the lamp of the body. Anybody know what that means? I mean, you have heard of teaching about it. You know, I have, and I know the Hebrew, the Hebraic position about the good eye. You know, if your eye is good, then there will be light. Like your body will be full of light. But if your eye is evil, you have the evil eye. If you have the evil eye, if you have this other kind of eye, then even your light's full of darkness, and your whole life is full of darkness, and the world how great is darkness. So you see this issue about this. Well, what's it mean? How does it not relate? I'm being led in my body. Why couldn't you say soul? Well, I guess we should kind of look more Hebrews, because this was a Hebrews teacher teaching in Hebrew. We got it in Greek and then we got it translated in English. So we read about the lamp, the eye being the lamp of the body. So if we look through the Septuagint, and we translate back these Greek words that we found in the Greek text, go back into Hebrew, what is translated in the Septuagint, is that Greek word, we can find out what he said. Isn't that neat? It's one of those perspective thing. You know, just get the words, we get the perspective of it. So he says the first thing is the lamp. The lamp in English. In Hebrew, it's net. That is like an oil lamp. Candle. That has to be particularly treated. The idea of a lamp is you don't just light it and it lights forever. You have to put oil in it, you have to put wick in it, you have to replace the wick, you have to clean it out, you have to do things. Even with the candle, you have to replace the candle, you have to do everything. You can't just leave it. It's a continued process. So now we're talking about this net. The net, it says in English of the body, right? So you go back and do the Septuagint, see what's translated as soma, as soma in the Greek soma. So what was translated soma translated before when you go back to Hebrew, and you can trace it back. And guess what it is? Veten. Veten means womb. The womb, where you reproduce. The womb. So now it says the nair of the womb is the eye. Oh, but it's an eye. The nair of the womb is the eye. Eye is the Hebrew word.
When we were studying the Hebrew alphabet, I was just learning the ABCs. I noticed with the iron, there is a lower part and a higher part. And it might think of there is an earthly perspective, there is a heavenly perspective. And then as I got a little more into it, I realized I didn't know about that womb thing, but that makes sense because in the womb, there is everything you need for life and to live out your life and to have to give. And this is the heavenly perspective. Well, the earthly perspective, the one we learn in our childhood, is that there is never going to be enough to satisfy me. There is never going to be enough that I will feel like I have to hold on to everything I have and give nothing away. That's the evil eye. The heavenly perspective is we have everything we need available to us through the one that we live inside of, who has and created everything and will expand everything in our life to let us live out our life according to his plan.
Interesting. This is fascinating. You're speaking is totally fascinating anyway. Especially the part of how they go in your mind. The net of the womb, the tended light source of the womb is the what? Is the eye. So in English, you translate as eye. So when the King James offers translated this stuff in there and said, well, that's one way to translate that, the eye makes sense on the body. They think it's on the body. So they nevertheless they think body. And that's a whole different world, deeper side. That's not bodies. So, so I mix it. Well, what is design? Actually, the eye is merely sort of a picture of an illustration of something it really means. It means wellspring. A living, vibrant, effervescing, continually replacing wellspring. The well. And then in my, even in Israel, went part way up there, Ein Gedi. Ein Gedi and Gedi. And Gedi in Hebrew is the well, the effervescing fountain of the goat. This is where the goats go to get water. Sheep and goats go to get water. And then one of the mountain goats have final hills. They go to Engedi. Now, so the nether, the intended source of light and energy of the womb, of what we produce in this world, is the effervescing fountain of life that we access. You see how you listen to treasure, your heart and your treasure now. What are you accessing? Is going to determine whether your eye, or if we don't think about that, your eye is good, is told, is producing well, good things in service, or is producing something else. Now, anybody, you understand? Oh, we all know what is, you know? It's the eagle eye, right? It's sort of a folk religion kind of a thing. Some of us get these kinds of substance to it. You look at something, you know, we used to go, my boys were pretty, my boys, my girl were pretty too, the boys were pretty. Something about in a Hispanic culture, the boys seem to get all the attention, especially the younger kids. So every time we go to a restaurant or whatever, a Hispanic lady would come around and they would touch my little boy's hair. They're like, you don't know him that well. You don't know what's going on. Why are you touching that baby's hair? It's not there. And Broker said, no, it's really kind of a backhanded compliment. It's saying, I don't touch it. If I don't touch it, then I will be as if I coveted it and wish ill upon it. So it's the way I'm counteracting the evil eye. So I've never heard that in my life. But if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing. I understand that. So now we understand what the evil eye really is. What the heart, what makes our eye evil. And that's where the Hebrew come down. So I did that a good eye, good eyeing told. An eyeing told is one who is giving and generous. And that's one for itself. Wants to help others. And eyeing Ra, an evil eye, is the one who wants to take everything for itself and get what he can get at it. So the difference there is that. The beautiful thing is, it says, the lamp of the eye of the womb, fountain, the light source of the womb is the effervescing fountain. It's your access. Now it makes sense what she was talking about, and it connects to the previous teachings and the subsequent teachings. He says, but if your eye is evil and your whole body will be full of darkness, if your eye is of raw, of interest, self-obsession, then what you're going to be spreading in this world and what you're going to be producing from your womb is darkness. Confusion, distortion, not true trouble, impure teaching, deceptive guidance, blind guides leading blind, because you're not producing light, you're producing darkness. Out of your womb is issuing this darkness, and the world may think it's spiritual, but they're being deceived the entire time, and you're not preparing them for anything real in life. You're just filling it full of religion, or philosophy, or theology.
And all those lower frequencies lead to death.
It's like, you know, you have a symphony orchestra. They're all playing, you see, trumpets and trombones and strings, everybody playing the sing. There's this one guy. Y'all know him, right? Y'all know this guy. He said, I just don't play stupid things. I think I'll play C sharp. So he starts playing all the chords in C sharp. And it's like, something's wrong here. You're listening to it now, it's like, that's something really, that's really sharp. And it's distracting everybody from the fruit frequency and fruit song. Without, where's that sour note? If you're playing it all, every note is a sour note. Well, in some sections of that, but very rarely can you make the two dissonant chords work together. Very rare. But that's that. But you understand the issue here? It's what's going to happen to you. It sounds like you're playing what you want to play. And he can play the song perfectly and say, keep it control. But nobody can hear it. All they hear is just the discordance with everything else that we do. And it's like, whenever you should teach, the world gets it. Well, better than Christians do. Unfortunately, the world gets Yeshua's teaching better than Christians do. When you get to chapter 7, you're going to figure it out. When you get to chapter 7, it's the next part we're going to go to. When you get to chapter 7, you're going to realize why the world understands it's better than Christians do. Christians will argue to the cow that you're supposed to judge. That you have to judge. It's what we do. We judge. We criticize, we find fault. That's what we do. We tell people what they're doing wrong. That's what we do. Christians will tell you that. And the people are lost. It's abuse. It's like, that's the way you should have said it. It's not Jesus. Well, how come he didn't mean that? He didn't mean that.
Austin said fruit.
And I love to see the verse chapter. Exactly. Now, so he said, there's going to provide a very distorted version of what is out there. And people will think, they will identify that with your faith, and they want no part of it whatsoever. If you know what's happening in youth generation and generations, you know what they're spitting out. I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying I'm glad about it. They don't really mind being part of the whole Jesus ideas. They want nothing to do with church. I don't say this lying, I'm saying this in a good way, but I'm just telling you this is the reality of the matter. They will do anything, at least consider serious consideration something Jesus might say. But they do not want to hear people. We have so diluted and so polluted the message that I don't blame them. I'm not happy about it, but I don't blame them. It's sad. It's really disgusting to us that we have done this in this teaching. And we're playing C sharp. And he's singing the C. Anyway, so you see the picture here. He's trying to tell you that you can't do your own thing and put my name on it. So he goes on and says, full of darkness, right? Full of darkness. He says, no one can serve two masters. I'm going to do that. Listen to your thought. Listen to the way you express your feelings and emotions. Listen to what you focus your attention and your energy and time and effort on. You spend your money on. You say you won't serve two masters, but is that exactly what you're doing most of the time? It's just, you know, the reality of the matter is you're going to wind up either loving the one that's serving the one and hating the other or vice versa. So, no, how can they ever hate you? But you misunderstand hate. Hate just means turn the other cheek, turn the other face, to the other direction. You reject. So if you're not doing what I'm talking to do, throw it in a bill, then you hate it. It's not a matter of how you feel emotionally. It's not what you reject. This is too much for me. It's scary. Yeah, it's so deep, it's so, no wonder we like Paul did. But he's getting right down to the nitty gritty here, he's getting right to the guts of things. He says, I won't play around with you like Paul does, because Paul knows you have mind issues, but you're my disciples. If you don't get your mind, if you don't get an understanding of how important all this stuff is, then forget it. Paul's talking to Gentiles. Writing letters to Gentiles. I'm talking about people who are my disciples. And my disciples need to learn how you got to walk a higher level. Well, so he goes on. So you can't really serve two masters. He says, he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. We just cannot serve God when we doesn't matter in a situation. We do it all the time. Or we think we do. We serve the paycheck. And how can we not serve the paycheck? We gotta have it.
And Yeshua rebuked his brothers, the Pharisees, for serving the regard of man's traditions over the word of God. Boy, have we all done that?
Absolutely. If everybody wants to get all higher and mighty, higher than you, holy than you, Pharisee. And that's a funny right there. You think we're more spiritual than the Pharisees are? We're more righteous than the Pharisees are? You don't understand much, do you? But they got problems. Don't get me wrong. They got issues. Their issues, I can deal with. It's your issues. You didn't realize you got it. Okay, so he goes on. He says, therefore, I say to you, do not worry about your life. Is this guy doing what he just said? Yeah. Yeah, it's all more process. If you want to know whether you want another God or not, whether you are serving mammon, if you want to know, just look at yourself and list, are you worried about stuff? I have a wife who will be the first to tell you she is prone to worry. I mean, she's not proud of it. She's not telling, but she's prone to worry. And the thing about worrying is one of those interesting things, because it tells you you're the one who's thinking about it. Everybody else should be worried too.
Yeah.
You do one time, but you worry.
Yeah.
That's a telltale sign that you're not on the thinking of the heavens. You're not with the Holy One. You're not listening. You have to be energy to His voice. You're not getting it, because if you were, you wouldn't be worried about it. You'd be dealing with it. You'd be facing it. You'd be bringing the word of the Holy One to bear on it, but you wouldn't be sitting there worrying about it. Worry is a telltale sign. Okay, so part of it's just all died.
Yeah.
We'll just cave in the floor and Christ don't feel like he did. You know, and you probably did too. I mean, I did. I knew I was going to read this. It's why he teaches the way he teaches. You got to get over this stuff. And we want from this stuff. We can't let ourselves get into these ruts. So worry is the telltale sign. Do not worry about what you eat, what you drink, what you wear, what you get clothed with. Do not worry about that. Well, we can be cognizant of the fact that I eat. Aware of the fact that I eat. They're being stressed out about it, our heart beating. Big problem.
I find myself, since I retired, having to deal with this. It's more prevalent than I thought it was in me, this worry, you know, but I find myself often before the Lord in repentance saying, I know everything that I've ever had and I ever will have had come from you anyway. I know, I have needs and all this stuff, or we've got this payment to pay, We don't have the money coming in we used to have. But, you know, it's one of those deals where maybe I was depending on my check to do more than I was on him, maybe. You know, and, probably not any maybe in there, the real deal. And look, there is something I have to deal with, you know.
The reality is everybody should be affected.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's not a thing, it's not. Paper backpack. We get caught in that.
Exactly.
That's probably. I wanted to, we're probably out of time, so I just want to say this, and maybe it'll fit you. I said, what is worry? And folks, I can find the definition. Self-patient tense or anxious. Concerned about something that you can't control in the future. Maybe it's about voting politics. Maybe it's about the economy of America, or your job, or your family situation, or some relationship with God, or your own health, your own physical body, or your aging process. It could be all things we could be concerned about and have some physiological response. You worry, or maybe a positive response to it, or the problem. So the physiological response, heartbeat, we get a chance to get early. We get less than focused upon the plan of God, more focused upon dealing with the issue, actually don't really deal with it, just think about it and talk about it. That's the difference between worry and fun. Worry means we actually convince ourselves we're doing the right thing by worrying. But sometimes that's not help. He goes on, how much does worry help you? How tall were you when you start worrying? How tall are you now?
That's where I'm thankful for my wife. She's the balance, you know.
Yes, and that's good. But what's why would you folks make us see? That's
That's what that one is.
now, but all that being said, about tension and irritability and anxiety and stress, everybody talk about stress today? You know what stress is? Worry. You don't worry it?
I can trust them, you know.
Worry is anti-joy. It is the opposite of peace. The opposite of wellness, fullness, sense of well-being, sense of confidence, expectation, and eagerness. It's anti-sympathy. It's anti-joy.
I don't know you.
Yeah, but you are home. So the other house living in one spot. Anti-joy. Well, yeah.
No, I just tell myself that I'm not worried, I'm just concerned.
I'm not mad at this much right here.
That means I don't care about it. I'm a mother, I'm supposed to worry about my kids, I'm concerned. And what I know now is just laying it down at my shoes feet and trusting him, because when I worry, I'm saying not to be mistaken. I don't trust him. I had to, and he told me, he said, okay, you done raised your kids, they're grown, you have to give them back to me. I'm the father, let me take care of you. And you just gotta get up. And I'm like, how can I do that? It's built into me to be a mother. I'm supposed to be concerned.
Well, and well, that's a good challenge. Again, we're going to cut check. Because, I know there is a difference, and the difference is significant between a mother and a father. But there's one thing in common. Don't mess with our kids. Now, what are we first? Are we mothers and fathers? Or are we disciples of the Messiah?
Yeah.
Or do you understand what I'm saying here? Like the lady was saying, I can't stop being a mother, but I can put a higher priority on something besides being a mother or father, or grandmother.
Yeah.
Or employer or employee or whatever it may be. We have higher roles, our assignments and those things, and that learning how to adjust that, correct that.
In the Hebrew New Testament, I saw a thing that said, distance from portal. Okay, if you are working, you have distance from the living portal. Because if you were face to face, not in what happened yesterday, you're not anticipating what's coming in the future. You are eye to eye with the one who has power to change the situation, to change you and make you equal to the situation. You can't work it.
Well, this takes you to, back to the Beatitudes, the 8 telltale signs that whether you are or not walking the sign. That's what the Beatitudes are. They're like, you know, say happy is the person or whatever. That's not the issue here. Happy is written by translation. The blessed is really by translation. It's ashrei, which means walking the right path, on target, on task, on time, is the person who is, and they would category different things to prove you are or are not walking toward the path that the Shiach wants us to walk. And the 8th one is this issue. Because he says, blessed, ashrei, are those who, when they are persecuted, rejoice. They don't succumb to inaction. Though they are persecuted, meaning all their vile things against you, rejoice. For great is your reward. Where are you? What is your reward? Where is your treasure in heaven? Remember the thing we talked about? The Holy One himself is the seat in the heavenlies, his words and the energy coming off his words. All the other blessings we have in heaven. This is more to us than the pain of our physical body and the persecution that we suffer in our emotions and even with our families. It's just, you know, I sometimes think, you know, I get spiritual and I think they can do anything they want to me. I don't really mean that, but I feel that. I say it. And then I'm thinking about Levi or Alina, my grandchildren. Well, you can do anything you want to me. Leave them alone. She says, no, you don't have that right. You can't say it. This is the way of life. This is the way of the Hebrew people, the covenant people forever and ever. This is the way of Yeshua. This is the Talmudim, the disciples forever and ever. They can take you and they take your children. They take your grandchildren. They can kill you, put you to the sword. They can torture you, do all sorts of things to you. And you think you can't stand up and decree it not to be. You don't have that. I wish I did. But if I did, I'd be thinking. And I would not be doing, I'd be diluting the power and the purpose of God. And somehow or other, I believe, I know my Redeemer, their Redeemer lives. And in the end, people will stand upon this earth, people will raise them up. And I don't want to think about what happens in between. I don't want to look at it, I want to see it. But I gotta be above it, understand that yes, it's really true. But also, I don't really trust in that. I don't really believe in that. How can I say I believe in any of it? Okay. Gut check, gut check, gut check. What the Shabbos teaching does. But it's just, you realize that the world's had religion for a long, long time. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. You gotta change the direction. We gotta change it. So, I'm gonna run quick. We're gonna stop right there. Oh, we're just getting started. We'll warn you in advance, and they don't want to leave that habitat next time. No, I no, what's up? Bye.
What explains to me about teaching today is that the Lord wants us to act in sanity not the insanity of the world.
You want that?
Not the insanity of the world.
I can stand it. Yeah, I mean, it's like, we've now become think insanity is normal, the insanity of the world. And it's not for us. Well, I want to leave this open for a few minutes. Anybody else got something they want to share? Randy?
This might relate a little bit more to the first half and the second half. So
Okay.
maybe with Corbin a lot, but I've been speaking about this for about 4 weeks now. It seems to be on my mind today, but I was listening to my audio series, and I kind of got this picture of what sort of Corbin a lot life was like. Their time without the tower. Yeah, without that, like what it looks like to have that dual submission there. So there's this character, Moraine. She is this very powerful person. She's part of this group that has been known to be advisors to kings and queens. And they also have these special powers. They also can't fly. But she hears that the savior of the world has been born and is going to eventually find the Dark One. And so she spent 20 years of her life devoted to finding him. And once she finds him, his friends, the universe like a Gandalf, a female Gandalf here. She's the thing that sets things off in motion and brings his friends out into the world to save it. But she finds the savior of the world in the small village. And things start going okay at first. But the problem is, once the hero realizes he is the hero of the world, they diverge in that although they're both committed to saving the world, they have very different ideas of what that looks like. And so throughout the series, she constantly starts telling the main character what he needs to do, where he needs to go, how he needs to save the world. She has a problem with ladies do. The main character realizes, though, that in order to save the world, conventions and beliefs are going to have to be broken, and chaos is going to look chaotic. And she actually argues, you're causing chaos everywhere you go. And she starts going behind his back to try and manipulate situations so that she can keep him on the leash and control how he does things. And so he cannot trust her. He actually at some point goes, I wish I could bring her in on this. She has these great qualities that I could use, but I can't trust her to do what I need her to do. And eventually some stuff happens, and she finally reaches a breaking point because he gets to this point where he won't allow her to agree with him, and he almost won't be a part of the conversation that she's in. And so at some point she finally breaks, and even though she's a really respected person who's used to being able to tell people what to do, I give up, okay? Just let me in the room. I will promise, and you know I can't lie, I will give my oath that I will serve you, and I will submit to your authority and what you want to do. I will just let me be. And if you need me, I'll do it. And so she has this moment. And I love how the books show that this is not an easy process even after she gets her oath. There are times she has to check her mouth, that you must give my, I would like you to do this, or you need to, you might not do this. Or there will be times where she gets on her nerves and won't go out. She might storm out of the room, but she does what it says. And so later on, like things start to build and great trust relationship. And before long, he's like, you're not allowed to leave. I need to do this stuff. And so there's that, and then later in the book, she dies. But that is so much more impactful because of the way things grew and like how the world actually started to get things work together versus previously. And I just started getting this idea of like that submission is sort of like one of the differences that are really important. I think a lot of times we have good intentions, but we don't always realize that we're telling them what to do. Like we have ideas of how we should keep at the same time.
And then I feel like second world.
Yeah, and I just started asking myself, like, how often do I look at what God's doing straight ahead? You're causing chaos in my life, or like, how often am I asking? How often am I asking myself, like, how often am I asking to be allowed to move, and how often am I like asking to be sort of And then sorry, I started asking, we talk a lot about how the Lord tries to build trust with us, but how often we feel like I'm actively not doing this because I am trying to build trust. I'm not the point about these two parts. I was hearing my poor blind loves. Like Christian books.
And then close with the injury, and back to that. We'll close with this. If you want to connect the sermon on the mount to the Torah to the entire discourse, Torah, all you have to do is go to one place. We've already studied a little bit, talking about what's called the Lord's Prayer. If you want to know what allegorically, what it looks like, Korban Allah, Korban Mitzvah, Korban Shel, Korban Hatat, Korban Hashara, just look at the petitions in the Holy One's Lord of Prayer. Choose Lord of Prayer. What is the first petition? Your kingdom come, your will be done. Korban Allah, all earth as it is in heaven. Second thing, okay? Give us this day our daily bread. Korban means time. Forgive us our trespasses, if we forgive those who trespass against us. Korban Shel. Peace among men. Lead us not into temptation. Korban Hatat. Trespass, all three. But deliver us from the evil and the evil one of self-interested raw, which is the Korban. We suddenly realized she knew exactly what he was doing for better. And this allegorical vision says, yes, it can still mean something to you, but there's no tabernacle, no temple, there's no altar, and there's no animal, there's no grain. It still means something to you. This is the way which is supposed to look like on a deeper level. So that should help you and give you another appreciation for this thing he called the Lord's Prayer. It's not the words themselves, it's the pictures and images he's drawing. It's this connection to the eternal plan, by plan. So, everybody, thank you guys for coming from Barnett. And welcome back in town. Watch on.